Great question for you. Is there anything worse than a hypocrite? Lindsay, what do you think?
No.
Okay. I hate it when a person says one thing and does another thing. Well, Lindsay and I are standing outside of a house that I'm actually in the process of purchasing. And why? Because I'm following the very same advice that we gave to you over the last couple of months, and that is, it is still a good time to buy. So here we go. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the different financing options, some of the decisions that were made in the purchase of this home and why they were made. And yeah, let's go ahead and get going.
All right.
So first off, you are?
Lindsey Whitworth with Mortgage Investors
Awesome.
Group.
And if people want to get hold of you, Lindsay, how can they do it?
865-306-3725.
And I'm Matthew Parsons, Knoxville real estate expert. You can reach me at 865-761-9797. Now, really quickly, I saw this house. It popped up on the market. It's in the neighborhood that I live in.
Right.
And so made an offer, got a pre-approval. Oh, I'm sorry, already had a pre-approval.
Already had a pre-approval.
Yes. Had a pre-approval, which is, again, very important. Go ahead and
Right.
get that pre-approval now, and then you're not scrambling. So I had the pre-approval, and I sent it in with my offer, and I got the offer accepted. So one of the things, though, that we've been talking about is what is this market like, and that there are now fewer buyers.
Right. Less competition.
Exactly.
Yep.
And so are you seeing more clients get into homes who have been maybe waiting or something like that?
Yes, I think more clients that have been competing against cash are now winning with a loan because maybe less cash, less competition in the market. I'm seeing more sellers offering closing costs and people winning those offers that are asking for closing costs.
And you and I are just talking about, I have a client who, they are a young couple, and they were, we just made an offer, came in 10 under ask with plus $5,000 in closing costs, and the offer got accepted.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Listen, this didn't happen 6 months ago. This didn't happen.
No.
It was going for 20 above ask, and there were no concessions.
Right.
This is an FHA loan.
It is an FHA loan. Yeah, that's right.
And this just wasn't the case. So
no.
This young couple that was in a position 6 months ago, they never could have gotten a house. They can get a house now.
Right.
And so this is a huge moment. And so that's part of why I talked about being a hypocrite earlier. I myself am sitting there looking at the market going, you know what? I can take advantage of this.
Right.
And I made an offer on this place and got it under contract. There were multiple offers, but my offer was not like crazy awesome all over the place.
Right.
The fact is I included closing costs in there, and that was able to get me in there for...
Still works.
Yeah, all I needed was the down payment.
Right.
So yeah. So here, let's talk about this. Now, what are mortgage rates doing lately, Lindsay?
So mortgage rates they've been pretty volatile. However, they have improved. So we saw some rates over 7, and they now have come down a little bit. So we're in the mid to lower 6s, which is great. That's an improvement from what we saw. And then, next week we have the Fed meeting, so we'll see what that brings to the mortgage.
Right, and that could increase them, that could decrease them.
Right.
That could hold them steady.
Yeah.
But again, it doesn't even matter, to be honest with you, because we've talked about this. It's always a good time to buy.
Yes.
Now, one of the options that we were talking about with this property is we were trying to figure out how we were going to finance this.
Right.
And there are really kind of two different options that were available to me through traditional programs that were backed up by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
Right.
And so the first one would be what?
Primary residence.
Okay.
So Matthew is going to buy this property as a primary residence. His options would be, 5% down is the minimum. For some buyers, you can do 3% down, but in your scenario, 5% down. And you live in it. You move in it.
Right.
You live in it.
And I have to live in it for how long?
At least a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I can move into it for a year. All I've got to put is 5% down. As we mentioned earlier, I got the closing costs covered. So really, I'm just looking at 5% of the purchase price to get in. Now, is my wife happy about moving? No. Okay. But we're looking at this for 1 year, and then, hey, we're going to reevaluate. I'm turning my current property into a rental.
Right.
And so that's a great option. Now, there is another financing option, and that was the investment route. And we decided not to go with that. We'll talk about that in a minute. But what are some of the particulars about an investment loan?
Right. So if you buy a property because you're choosing to not live in it, you're going to rent it out, that's the intention of the purchase, then you're going to need to put at least 15% down. You do have to qualify with having some extra reserves as well, because now all of a sudden you have an investment property. You may keep your other properties, right? So you've got to have a little bit more money to the table, as well as the interest rates are going to be a little bit higher on investment properties. Right. They're just riskier.
Yes, just again, we're not talking about what's happening today. We're talking about back when I started the process, because rates change up and down. But the difference was, I believe, about 6.5% for the primary loan, and we were looking at 7.125 for the investment loan. So it was a little bit higher in those regards. So again, monthly payment was higher. Had to deal with that. So obviously, the more you can put down, the better. Now, the reason that I decided not to go with that loan at this time is because of the discount points, okay? And these are basically points or percentage points that you're paying up front to get the loan, get the loan at a certain rate.
And for investment properties, we are seeing rates that have discount points. So unfortunately, at this point in time, just the way that the market is, the way that the increase in rates have happened, investment properties are just you're going to have to pay discount points for a 7.125% interest rate.
So really, ultimately, what we were looking at numbers-wise, and again, this is for my property, this is for a week or two ago, okay? This is not necessarily saying that this is the way that it is today, but it'll probably close, just to give you an idea, we were looking at approximately $10,000 extra in just closing costs. And the kicker about that is those and that's extra. I'm talking about beyond the normal closing costs that I'm experiencing with the primary loan. So this was $10,000 extra that I was going to have to put down, that was essentially disappearing. And I would not recoup that necessarily. Well, I shouldn't say that. It wasn't going towards the equity of the home. And the other kicker is one of the things that we're doing right now is we're encouraging people to buy, because we believe that interest rates are kind of up here right now. We believe there's a strong chance that they're going to come down, and you'll have the opportunity to refinance. Now, the kicker is on the investment loan, you have to pay those discount points when you refinance. At this point in time. Right? So when you say at this point in time, what does that mean? Why is that? What are we seeing there?
I think because, one, Fannie and Freddie kind of came out at the beginning of 2022 and said, we want primary owner-occupied properties. That's the kind of loans that they really are looking for. So, investment properties have always been more expensive, but now there's just, more cost to them. Rates went up, costs went up for second homes and investment properties. So it just changed. The landscape of the loan lending environment changed this year. So that's what we're experiencing. And
part of that comes from Fannie and Freddie and what they did. They added on the discount points. So there is an opportunity that might disappear in the future,
it could. They could always change things, right?
Exactly.
Things are forever changing in our business, and we hope that the rates will come down, and maybe discount points will come down as well, and thus making it a little bit more advantageous to buy.
Exactly. So that's why we made the decision to go with the primary loan. So there you go. There's just kind of a rundown of, hey, guess what? We're not hypocrites. We're like literally doing the things that we're talking to you about, right? And we're telling you some of the decisions that we're making and why we're making them. So, Lindsey, again, if people want to get a hold of you, how can they do that?
They can reach me at my cell phone, 865-306-3725.
And you can reach me, Matthew Parsons, National Real Estate Expert at Realty Executives, at 865-761-9797. Thank you, and God bless. Are you getting rained on?